Welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Church of Tarpon Springs. We are glad you're here. One of the things that I really love about this church is its history. The church was built in the early 1900s as a Universalist church. We are also the home to the historic Innis paintings. We hope you can come and visit when we reopen. For now, enjoy our service.
Hi, I'm Dave Cutler. Welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Church of Tarpon Springs. Let me just tell you a little bit about the church. We are all about deeds and not creeds. We spend a lot of our time in the community doing good things and doing good things for people who need it. Thanks, and I really welcome seeing you here.
Welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Church of Tarpon Springs, located in the heart of the walkable Tarpon Springs Historic District and known as the home of the Innis paintings. We are a liberal community for all ages, promoting spiritual growth, social justice, and the arts. I'm Reverend Kristina Spaude, minister here of UUCTS. I'm glad you are here. I hope that you find meaning in today's service. Please consider joining us on a Sunday morning when we gather to worship as a community every week beginning at 10:30 a.m. on Zoom, or drop in for a more personal visit to one of our coffee hours starting at 11:30 on Sundays on Zoom. Please refer to our website for information about how to connect with us on Zoom. Our service associate will now begin today's service. Let us enter this sacred time with open minds and open hearts.
Hi, my name is Dave Cutler, and I'd like to welcome you to our virtual service. I've been with the church in Tarpon Springs for 4 years, and here's what I really like about it. There's a sense of oneness in the congregation. It seems like we're all on a common life or spiritual journey, and we all relate to each other in that along those lines. Along that journey, there's a lot of things that we do that make ourselves, our community, and the world at large a better place. We're very involved in the community. We're very involved in community activities and volunteer activities. And it's something I was looking for when I was looking for a new church 4 years ago. So it's a wonderful place. And if this is the first time you've been in contact with our church, we'd love to have you continue to come to our services. And when we reopen, hopefully in a couple, 2 to 3 months, we'd love to see you come to our services. So thank you. Our guest speaker today is Beyssa Buil. I probably butchered that, but there it is. She was born in Miami, Florida. She had 2 parents who played with words and invented her beautiful name. She began writing poetry and developing a spiritual practice at the tender age of 7. This sparked her journey in studying philosophy, ethics, ritual, biofield science, and healing. She is an endorsed humanist, chaplain celebrant, spiritual director, and anti-racism coach and writer. She is graduating from Meadville Lombard Theological with her divinity degree this May. Some of her best meditations have come from repetitive notes on her typewriter. We also want to thank Bonnie Whitehurst for her music today and all those who helped put this virtual service together. We'll begin this service today by giving us time away from our separate lives and the commonplace and time of this worship hour. Our chalice lighting words are by Maureen Caloran. In these hard times, let us look first to the response of love. In the midst of challenge, may our chalice flame bear witness to the inherent worth and dignity of every human being. In the midst of uncertainty, may our chalice be the beacon of encouragement that our values may guard our choices. Let's look first to the response of love. Thank you.
In the depths of the darkness, there's a place with no name. In the center of the darkness, there's the power of the flame. We are called by that power to bring peace to the earth and to care for all our neighbors, sharing love's greatest word.
The Wise Salimai, a Muslim folktale from Ajat Jamila, Beautiful Signs, a treasury of Islamic wisdom for children and parents, collected and adapted by Sarah Conover and Frida Crane. Today we will hear a story about a wise young girl. She will teach us how courage and love surrounds us in many ways. Long, long ago, in the country of China, lived a young woman of the Muslim Hui people whose name was Salimai. Although she was a farm girl, too poor to attend school, Salimai nonetheless paid close attention to life around her. When an old woman in the village needed help, but was too proud to ask for it, Salimai would know just the right time to visit. When children scraped their knees, Salimai arrived to assist, even if they were not her own. She may have been poor and unschooled, but Salimai possessed a wise and deep heart, and above all, courage. So once her father-in-law, a carpenter named Ali, was ordered by the emperor to make some repairs in his palace. Fearful of doing less than his best work for the emperor, Ali pushed himself to work night and day, and night and day, and night and day. Yet, as it happened, the time came when Ali went beyond his limits. Dizzy with fatigue from not sleeping, his hands shaking, and momentarily careless, Ali toppled over the emperor's most precious vase. The pieces shattered in the great hall. Servants came running. Everyone was terrified of this emperor. Soon the emperor heard the story of his ruined, priceless vase, and he yelled, "Bring the carpenter to me." Handcuffed and escorted by 3 guards, Ali trembled and stood speechless in front of the emperor. The emperor drew his sword, and as it hovered over Ali's head, Ali spoke up. "Forgive me, your worship. I did not mean to break the vase. I promised to pay for it. I promised to pay." So the emperor lowered his sword just a bit. "A poor old Hui like yourself could never replace such a treasure. Do not jest with me." "Have mercy on me," begged Ali. "I will pay." So the emperor put away his sword and gave a sly smile. "Very well, old Hui. I do not expect you to replace my vase. Instead, I will give you 10 days to find me 4 things." The emperor hesitated, tugging lightly on his beard. The first thing you must get me is something more black than the bottom of a pan. Second, you must find me something clearer than a mirror. And third, something stronger than steel. And then he smirked. Lastly, find me something vast as the sea. If you fail at any one of these, I will chop off your head. He turned around and, feeling pretty pleased with himself, took off. Ali looked stricken. How, he wondered, how can I achieve these impossible tasks? Does the emperor simply wish to torture me for the last 10 days of my life? Sick with dread, he hung his head and turned away and walked home. For the next week, he could not eat or sleep. His family knew something was terribly amiss, but Ali would not discuss it. Please, father, Salimai said, calling her father-in-law by the customary term of respect. What is the trouble? Perhaps we can help. Begging and pleading, finally, Ali began to talk. He cradled his head between his hands and wept as he named the emperor's 4 impossible tasks. Salimai responded as if these were everyday requests. This isn't a problem. Father, don't worry. I will have all these things when the emperor comes tomorrow. I should present them to him myself. Ali assumed Salimai was only trying to comfort him. He didn't want to get her in trouble with the emperor as well. Don't be foolish, Salimai. These 4 things, they do not exist. The emperor just wanted to make me suffer further before killing me. And so it was the next day, the 10th day, since the broken vase, that the emperor appeared surrounded by troops at Ali's door. Old Bui, come forward and give me the 4 things you owe me. Ali came outside with Salimai by his side. They were trying to be courageous. They both bowed humbly, never daring to meet the emperor's gaze. And Salimai stepped forward. Your Majesty, the 4 things you requested are ready to be presented. Please name them one by one. The first thing I must have, said the emperor, is that which is more black than the bottom of a pan. He touched the sheath of his sword with a glint in his eye. Salimai answered, this, Your Majesty, can be found in the bottomless, greedy heart. The emperor hid his surprise. This girl, she cannot be so smart, he thought. She is a farm girl. All right, the next thing you must present me is something more clear than a mirror. Do you have that? Salimai answered, yes. Knowledge offers a clarity greater than any mirror. The emperor looked dumbstruck. Well, he stammered, do you have something stronger than steel to give me? Love, said Salimai. Love is the strongest thing in the world. Knowing he had been bested, the emperor stood speechless. Ali glanced at Salimai and stood a little taller. At last, the emperor cleared his throat and made his last request. And what do you have that could possibly be as vast as the sea? A virtuous heart. A virtuous heart is as vast as the sea, Your Majesty. Her head lowered, Salimai smiled and said no more. Flustered and humbled, the emperor sputtered, it's time to leave. Old Wee, you are hereby pardoned. He turned to his troops and shouted, march. As the Emperor of China distanced himself, Salimai held her father-in-law's hand. Together, she and Ali bowed in relief and gratitude. Because of Salimai's wise and courageous heart, Ali could now live a long and happy life.
I did it, and I feel good. I did it. I always knew I could. I am brave and I am strong. Yeah, I did it. You can do it, and you feel good. You can do it, and I think you should. You are brave and you are strong, and just like me, you can do it. At first, it seemed scary. At first, it seemed hard. But something inside me said, I knew I could do it all along. I did it, and I feel good. I did it. I always knew I could. I am brave and I am strong. And hey, I did it.
Continue by Maya Angelou. Continue. My wish for you is that you continue. Continue to be who you are and how you are, to astonish a mean world with your acts of kindness. Continue. Continue to allow humor to lighten the burden of your tender heart. Continue. In a society dark with cruelty, to let the people hear the grandeur of God in the peals of your laughter. Continue to let your eloquence elevate the people to heights they had only imagined. Continue to let your eloquence elevate people to heights they had only imagined. Continue to remind the people that each is as good as the other and that no one is beneath nor above you. Continue to remember your own young years and look with favor upon the lost and the least and the lonely. Continue to put the mantle of your protection around the bodies of the young and defenseless. Continue to take the hand of the despised and the diseased and walk proudly with them in the high street so some might see you and be encouraged to do likewise. Continue to plant a public kiss of concern on the cheek of the sick and the aged and the infirm, and count that as a natural action to be expected. Continue to let gratitude be the pillow upon which you kneel and say your nightly prayer to, and let faith be the bridge you build to overcome evil and welcome good. Continue to ignore no vision which comes to enlarge your range and increase your spirit. Continue to dare to love deeply and risk everything for the good thing. Continue to float happily in the sea of infinite substance, which set aside riches for you before you had a name. Continue, and by doing so, you and your work will be able to continue eternally.
Spirit of life, People say to me, you must be crazy. How can you sing in times like these? Don't you read the news? Don't you know the score? How can you sing when so many others grieve? People say to me, what kind of fool believes that a song could make a difference in the end? By way of a reply, I say a fool such as I sees a song as somewhere to begin. A song is somewhere to begin. The search for something worth believing in. If changes are to come, then there are things that must be done, and a song is somewhere to begin. People say to me, you must be crazy. How can you be courageous in times like these? Don't you read the news? Don't you know the score? How can you be brave when so many live in fear? People say to me, what kind of fool believes that rising up could make a difference in the end? By way of a reply, I say a fool such as I sees being brave as somewhere to begin. Being brave is somewhere to begin. The search for something worth believing in. If changes are to come, then there are things that must be done, and being brave is somewhere to begin. Rising up is somewhere to begin. Oh, this song is somewhere to begin.
The March Give the Plate will support Ready for Life Pinellas, RFL, a not-for-profit 501c3 that serves youth in Pinellas County, ages 15 to 25, that are in foster care or already have transitioned out and are on their own. The youth that RFL serves exit the foster care system on their 18th birthday, regardless of their housing situation, support system, or knowing that they have what they need to be successful on their own. Most of these young people are still in high school or trying to obtain their GED, have limited life skills, and no clear plan for housing and employment. RFL helps fill in life skills and learning gaps while removing barriers so these youth can reach self-sufficiency. Please visit our website, uutarpon.org, and find the drop-down menu. Select Social Justice Project. Click on Give the Plate in the comment. If you're writing a check, put RFL in the memo. And thank you.
It seems that these days, with the current world conditions, living with this epidemic of COVID, economic stressors, political and societal strife, we are being asked to live in a state where we need courage to get by. I have often asked myself, where does courage reside? Have you ever seen where courage goes after it has been summoned? Can you recall a time when you have called courage to your side? I was so curious to find out that I now want to ask you some questions to begin this journey. I'm very grateful to be your tour guide, storyteller in locating these places of courage. My connection to courage as a way of thinking began one summer when I went to Paris for a human rights program where I met with survivors and French resistance fighters that had been sent to Dachau and Auschwitz during World War II. One of the individuals I would meet was named Joseph Weissman, who was one of a handful of childhood survivors of the Vel d'Hiv roundup, a Nazi-directed roundup of Jews by the French police on July 16, 1942. 17,152 people, 4,000 children. Only 6 children survived. And when he shared his story with me and other members of my class that had been invited to his yearly ribbon ceremony that the Parisian government would undertake to show respect and deep sorrow at what these individuals had experienced. The words that Joseph said to me were to keep love and courage in my heart. And courage is what helped him move forward in the moments where he was terrified, running and hiding through the forest after eluding guards and crawling under razor-sharp barbed wire so he could find freedom. And courage and love was how he survived the rest of the war in Nazi-occupied France to build a life for himself. Courage was what he needed to call upon for his survival. Now, Joseph was awarded the Legion of Honor, which is the highest French order of merit, both military and civil. It was established in 1802 by Napoleon Bonaparte, and to this day, acts of great courage receive this award. Joseph also received the Escapees Medal, which is a military award bestowed by the government of France to individuals who were prisoners of war and who successfully escaped internment. Now, these are great honors for courage. And the way that Joseph described it, it was no special feat he was doing. He was simply trying to keep himself alive. And he remarked that every single person has that same spark within them when the moment between surviving or not comes into play. So now I'm going to take you from that description of an ultimate sense of courage. I'm going to take you to another hiding place where courage resides. Greta Thunberg. She began to sit every Friday by herself, and little by little, other people began to join until this has become a movement. It took great courage to sit all alone, miss school, and have individuals critique you for your choice of behavior. But courage needed to be called upon to do an action that might not be popular. So Greta and Joseph were both children when they had to come up and face situations that one is the destruction of his family and his community and his own life. And Greta, who is having to call upon courage for the destruction of the planet and to preserve future generations. And yet they both came from wanting to preserve life. They both came for the love of other. They both came in moments of stillness where you don't have another option. Now, I want to share a third story about a hiding place where courage resides. I have multiple sclerosis, and this is a condition that progresses. There is no cure for it. The moment I received my diagnosis, I had to call upon courage. Because not knowing what your future entails and having to move forward requires some type of courage coming through to your aid. And the way that I was able to do this is a practice that I'd like to share with you to how to connect with love and to connect with the well of courage that resides in your heart. When one is in a situation where you cannot move sideways, you cannot leave, you cannot transform everything that is possible, and the only option is to move forward, this well that's within us allows us to summon the energy of courage. Every day, if one takes 10 minutes to sit and review all the ways that you are capable of being the individual that comes to your aid, and you meditate on all the ways that you provide love and support to others, you begin to see that you have a large well within you. And in reviewing that and taking breaths, cleansing breaths, where you take deep breaths in and you just hold in your body, hold in your mind, of how you are capable and strong and worthy, and you connect with that feeling. Courage is that feeling that you'll be able to summon whenever it is needed. It's almost like it's a little button to your courage that resides in the universe. And the more that you practice being able to feel it and sense it and identify it in recalling moments where you have been courageous, then it's as if you have a direct connection to courage in its hiding place. So, what is courage? What is courage? I guess we could describe courage being born from a mixture of justice, righteousness, and compassion. It's almost as if you take courage and you were to create a recipe for it, you would mix equal parts of compassion, justice, and righteousness. Because in mixing these ingredients together, that is the component that allows you to rise up, to be grounded in that energy and that power source. So going back to Joseph Weissman, he was a very funny, kind, jolly individual that you would never imagine if you met on the street the situations he had to go through in that experience. And that is what struck me as being an oxymoron of being courageous, that any single person can call in this superpower. You know, he was only 5 years old, and it turns out that when his family was taken to the camps and they were separated, he ended up losing his whole family. And a movie was made out of his life story. And I will not tell you what it is. I will not tell you what the movie is, so I will not tell you the whole story. If you do want to watch it, it's called La Rafle, Rafle. And in that story of Joseph Weissman's life, in a split second, this child had to make the decision of taking the opportunity to escape. And he did it. And as he ran through the forest, one would imagine that in order to be able to do something like that, you needed to have some super strength. But he was just a child. And that's why courage can always be found when we need it. But it has to be cultivated. Courage is something that needs to be cultivated little by little. So that way, when we face insurmountable challenges, we're able to meet and to be able to pass through it. Now, there's a lot of other examples of courage that I can give you. Courage outside in the world can look like sanctuary churches that are working in supporting communities that are being oppressed. Courage also comes up in waking up every morning when you feel so debilitated and exhausted. So Faith in Small Actions is something that was written by Tim Atkins. He's the director of Lifespan Religious Exploration in Oklahoma City. And I want to share something that has to do with courage. When I first learned about the chaos theory during the summer before my 8th grade year, I never expected it to have such a profound impact on my spirituality. Meteorologist Edward Lorenz first discovered the chaos theory when he realized that one small I cannot pronounce it right now, one really tiny small change can lead to a dramatically different result. And he proved it with math. In a complex system, one small change can lead to a result that had never been imagined. Meteorologists dub this butterfly effect, which hypothesizes that a butterfly flapping its wings in one part of the globe could cause a tornado in another. The weather system is too complex to fully ever be predicted. One small change, the butterfly flapping its wings, could lead to a dramatically different result in the end. The more complex a system, the more likely it is a small change that can have a drastic impact. Now, what system out there is more complex than life? If the chaos theory proves that in complex systems, small changes lead to dramatic results, then it follows the chaos theory also that it proves that in life, a small change can lead to a dramatic result. This is an incredibly empowering thought to me. And this is where it intersects with courage. That when one brings courage to make small changes in our personal life, they can lead to dramatic improvements years down the road. These small changes that we make through courageous acts, engaging in social justice work, have the potential to change the entire world. We have to take faith to take these small actions. We have to have courage to be able to take these small actions. Every single one of us can make a change. And these changes are only brought about by connecting with the power of courage. Brian Andreas, creator of Story People, said, anyone can slay a dragon, but try waking up every morning and loving the world all over again. That's what takes a real hero. As you can see, courage resides in many places simultaneously and can look very differently in each place. Courage is summoned to support, and courage is summoned for action and change. But the common ground is that courage is inside of each and every one of us. It is a gift that we all have, and it is a gift that we can use in not turning away, but move towards whatever is presenting itself in the moment. As we summon the words of Mary Ann Rodmacher, courage doesn't always roar. Sometimes it's the quiet voice at the end of the day whispering, I'll try again tomorrow.
Just as long as I have breath, I must
As we part now, let us each remember to invoke courage wherever they may reside that day. Whether for ourselves to navigate the challenges that life presents, which manifest in many forms, or the courage to stand up for others facing oppression and challenges. May your courage become your familiar friend, holding your hand in any time of need. This is my parting blessing and wish for all of you. May it be so.
Go now in peace, go now in peace. May the light of love surround you everywhere, everywhere you may go. Go now in peace, go now in peace. May the light of love surround you everywhere, everywhere you may go.
I hope that you found meaning in today's service. Again, I invite you to consider joining us sometime on Sunday morning when we gather for worship as a community. The service starts at 10:30 a.m. on Zoom. You are also welcome to drop into our Zoom room coffee hour any Sunday at 11:30 for friendly conversation. Please refer to our website for more information on how to connect with us on Zoom. If you use the Connect Online button, it will take you directly to any of our activities. We look forward to meeting you.